Welcome to this Prepare for IELTS video in which we're going to tell you everything you need to know about cohesion. We're going to show you the strategies you can use to make your text cohesive in your IELTS essays. So we're going to look at a range of structures, how to use pronouns and possessive adjectives, using this to refer back to earlier ideas and in longer phrases, using that to refer to earlier ideas and in phrases with of, using these with plurals and in longer phrases, using those to refer back to earlier ideas and to refer to people, and using other ways of referring back to people and one and ones. So let's get on and start with using pronouns and possessives. And when you're linking language, you're linking parts of sentences together, one of the easiest ways to do this is with a pronoun. In the first example there, we have it referring back to a company, that's a pronoun, and its profits referring back to the company again, that's a possessive adjective. Similarly, in the other sentence, they refers back to parents, and there is an adjective referring back to parents, and we refers back to humans. So this is a good and often underestimated way of making your text more cohesive, of connecting it together. Now let's turn to using this, and this is a very useful word. It can refer back to earlier ideas. Sometimes it can be on its own, and sometimes it can have a noun such as fact or situations. So you can see the first example, many zoos remain open. This refers back to the whole idea, not just to a particular word. So we can say this annoys animal rights campaigners, or we could turn this into an adjective and say this fact or this situation annoys animal rights campaigners. So we can often use this in this way, and you can see other examples of it here which really connect two sentences together. We can also use this in longer phrases, so phrases like practically, almost, nearly or virtually all of this, or a significant amount of this, or hardly, barely or scarcely any of this, or some or most of this. We can sometimes use it here as well, but this is another way of referring back to the idea in red in the previous sentence. Now let's turn to that, and many candidates get confused about when to use this and when to use that. And the easiest way to explain this is distance. So we often use that when we are considering something which is further away. What does further away mean? Well, if you look at the first sentence here, Mars, the planet Mars is certainly further away. So we can use that to refer to that planet. It's not something we can touch or reach or see easily. So the distance is a distance in space. We can also use that to refer to a distant time. So at that time, we're referring to the 10th century, a long time ago. And we can also use that when we're referring to something unlikely or currently untrue. So in the third sentence, unless we take action, our planet could be uninhabitable within a century. So that's not currently true. So we can refer to that prospect or that possibility. It is sometimes possible to use that on its own, as in the fourth sentence. If you're not sure, then use it with a noun. That will make it certainly right. That can also be used with phrases of. So looking at some examples, the standard of living of those in developed countries is on the rise. That refers back to the standard of living of citizens of developing countries does not always show the same improvement. Similarly, the second one, the price of coffee, the price of tea. This is a special and quite unusual structure where we can use that to refer back to an earlier noun, which is followed by of. And now let's turn to these, which we can use with plural. So the first text in red here, there are two things. Overcrowding and a lack of decent amenities make life in the city stressful for many. So these problems or issues or difficulties. So we can use these with a noun, and that noun will be a plural noun like planets or bodies. Again, this helps us link two sentences together. Great for your overall grade for coherence and cohesion. And we can use these in longer phrases as well. Phrases like nearly, almost, practically, virtually, all of these. Again, usually better to use these with a noun if you're not sure whether you can use it without a noun. So to be safe, it's a good idea to use it with a noun, such as institutions or forms of energy. We can use those to refer back to earlier ideas as well. Those is not as common as these. Again, we use it with plurals. So temperatures in summer tend to be extremely high. Those refers back to temperatures. You can see in the other examples, those refers back to houses or bananas or cities. And those has one very useful purpose, and that's to refer to people. So those people who were killed in the war, and so we can use it with a relative clause, who were killed in the war. We don't need to include the information in brackets. We can just write those who were killed in the war, but we can use the nouns if we want, those soldiers and civilians. We can also use it with prepositional phrases, so those with serious mental health issues. And we can use it with a participle clause, those residents living near nuclear power plants, or we could just write those living near nuclear power plants. We can use it with an adjective phrase or an adjective clause as well, those willing to work hard. So there are lots of ways in which you can use those to refer to people, and it means you don't have to repeat the word people. It's actually a lovely strategy for your writing. There are other ways of referring to people as well, so we can use words like some, the majority, several, one or two, others, few, most, and many. And these can often be used with a noun, so some people live long lives, but you can usually use them without a noun as well. So you can write some live long lives, whereas others die young. So these are used to replace words for people, and especially when you're talking about groups of people. So many refuse to take part in elections. They see no point. And we can also use one and ones to avoid repeating a noun. So we can use the ones to refer back to several strategies. That's a plural. Or we can use one to refer back to a pet. So this avoids repeating a noun. We don't have to write pet or decision again. We can replace it with one. We hope that helps, and that now you feel you would be able to write more cohesively, connecting your language, your ideas, your clauses, your sentences together very well. We look forward to seeing you soon, and thank you for watching.